What is a magneto? Self-contained AC generator. Why are magneto-ignition systems preferred over battery-type ignition systems for reciprocating engines? They are an independent ignition source. What is the purpose of the condenser in a high-tension magneto-electrical circuit? Prevents arcing at the points, hasten the collapse of the magnetic field. Where is the E gap position? Few degrees past neutral, points begin to open. What are the three major circuits of a high-tension magnetosystem? Magnetic, primary, secondary. What are the components of a high-tension magnetic circuit? Permanent rotating magnet, soft iron core, and pull shoes. What happens when the primary breaker points open in a magneto? Stops the flow of current in the primary coil. Primary coil's magnetic field collapses. The magnetic flux lines around the secondary coil winding. Induce a pulse of high voltage current. That is needed to fire the spark plugs. Primary breaker points open, stops the flow of current in the primary coil. Primary coil's magnetic field collapses. The magnetic flux lines around the secondary coil winding induce a pulse of high voltage current that is needed to fire the spark plugs. What is the difference between a low tension and high tension ignition system? High tension, primary and secondary circuits in magneto. Low tension, magneto has only primary circuit, secondary circuit is near each spark plug. What three conditions are required to fire plugs in a cylinder? When the piston is in the prescribed position. Magneto in E-gap position, breaker points open, distributor aligned with electrode for the cylinder. What is internal timing of a magneto? Adjusting breaker points to open at the E-gap position. What is a dual magneto? Two magnetos in one housing that share magnets and cams, but have their own points, coils, and distributor block. When the ignition switch is in the off position, what is the condition of the primary circuit? It is completed through the ignition switch to ground. What can cause a reciprocating engine to continue to run when the ignition switch is in the off position? Break in the P-lead wire. What is the difference between a temporary magnet and a permanent magnet? Permanent magnet retains its magnetic properties. Temporary magnet acts like a magnet within a strong magnetic field or current flowing near them. Temporary magnets, you have to flash the field at times. Permanent magnets are already magnetized. What is a dual ignition system, and what part of the system is grounded when the ignition switch is placed in the right position? Two separate magnetos. Each magneto has a plug in every cylinder. Set switch to right, the left magneto will be grounded. What is the purpose of the dual magneto configuration? In case one magneto fails, redundancy, safety. What is the purpose of an impulse coupling used with a magneto? Delays the timing of the spark after top dead center for starting the engine. What is staggered ignition timing? Firing of one spark plug before the other instead of simultaneously. This is an individual cylinders. What is the proper spark plug? Reach. Electrode end is in the best position to achieve ignition, inside the cylinder. Why is it important to keep track of the cylinders that spark plugs are installed in? Spark plugs can provide information on the health of a cylinder. How can you tell if a starter commutator is dirty or worn? Excessively noisy starter. What does it mean when the starter relay clicks? When the starter switch is placed in the start position. Supply voltage is too low. Relay coil can't fully engage the contact points. What type ignition system is used in most turbine engines? Capacitor. What is the function of the igniter plugs in a turbine engine? Provide a discharge gap for the current. Results in a high-intensity spark ignites the fuel air mixture. When are turbine engine ignition systems normally in use? Only when starting or restarting. What are the two types of igniter plugs? Annular gap, constrained gap. What is an advantage of air turbine starters when compared to electric starters for large turbine engines? Lightweight, faster cool down, period. Why do turbine igniters not get carbon fouled as often as reciprocating engines' spark plugs? Due to extremely high rates of electric discharge. What are the three parts of an ignition system of a turbine engine? Exciter, ignition, lead, igniter.